Hey guys, it's time for another rewind video! Yay! Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey guys, so I am coming at you again with another rewind video. I have 3 books to review, which is very exciting. 3 books in a week compared to my previous history where I read like 1 book in 3 months. So it's a big change. The first book I'm going to review is Endure by Carrie Jones. This is the 4th book in the Need series, and I am giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars, and I will tell you why. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention is this cover is gorgeous. It matches the other ones really well. I love the gold, black, and brown kind of together. I think it looks very fairy-like and very mysterious, and it fits the book very, very well. So I definitely love the cover of these. Now on to the actual plot. Zara has rescued Nick from Valhalla, and they are trying to get back to normal life, but it's very hard because they're both different people. And Zara is now the queen of the Fae world, and Nick obviously cannot stand fairies, and so they're having a hard time deciding who is who in the relationship and how they are going to beat the odds. Now, my feelings on this book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't love it. I felt that Zara was very weak and angsty in this one, and she kind of let the other characters do the work for her, whether it was rescuing someone or doing a certain task. And I felt that the plot was a little too convenient at times. That was something that I didn't love. The plot was decent, but it didn't hold my interest like the other 2 books did. I loved, loved, loved the first 2. I loved that the first book had the different fears at the top of the chapters. I thought that was very clever and charming, and I wish that Carrie would have stuck to that type of writing, like that theme. And I felt like this was a completely different book, just like Breaking Dawn, in my opinion. I felt like Stephanie Meyer didn't even write that. That's how I felt about this one with Carrie Jones. Nick was a complete asshat. I just have to say that right now. And I felt Zara was too wishy-washy between Ashley and Nick. She kept his bracelet, but I love Ashley, but I'm going to keep this bracelet just in case, and I'm only going to give it up because I have to. But I love Ashley. Like, what? I loved Ashley's character, but he was also a little too cliche at times. I liked his form of speaking sometimes because he's so proper, but it was still just, it was a little too sunshine and rainbows, and our love will conquer all, and that, like, oh. Another character that drove me absolutely nuts is Izzy. I used to love her. She was funny, but now she feels like the weird tag-along character, and I felt like Zara was taking care of her like a toddler, and some of the things that she said just turned me off. She just felt like a 5-year-old, and I think Carrie made her a little bit too indecisive and dependent on other people, and I personally like strong characters, and so Izzy was a complete turnoff to me. One thing that I don't think really helped the book was it took me forever to get it, and it was a huge, huge gap between the, I think this 3rd and this book, because I read the first book and the second one was just coming out, so I was able to read those close together. But I think I read Entice on my way from Christmas break last year, so it's been almost a year since I read the continuation of the stories, so it really made a difference. There were some characters I didn't remember who they were. I didn't remember the plot much of what was going on, and on top of all that, it was kind of confusing to begin with, and so I was kind of struggling a little bit to get caught up in the story. Another thing I didn't love is there was too much talking and not enough action, especially towards the end. I kind of felt like the movie Incredibles, how they sort of have their speeches, all their evil plans sorted out, and while they're talking about their evil plans, the heroine is starting to get away. I felt like that. Like, there was so much talking about their evil plans, and then they never really executed them, and I felt that really fell flat for me, and it just was really disappointing. And moving lastly onto the ending, I really hated the ending. It was completely anticlimactic, and the whole book, the author was hinting at this certain thing really needs to happen for the apocalypse to, you know, whatever. I don't want to spoil anything, but for it to happen, and it didn't. And the story took 4 freaking books to get to this point, and that happens. I was reading it, and I was like, almost searching for more pages, like, the end, is there a missing chapter that you know, that got ripped out? Like, what happened? And it completely didn't tie up any loose ends. The issues between Zara and Ashley's mother were like, what? I felt like it was really convenient for Zara and some of the other characters, and this whole releasing of this certain thing, I don't want to mention it because, again, spoilers, but it was just like one thing happened and Zara got help. It was just so lame, and I didn't feel like there was any action whatsoever. Really bummed me out because I did love this series at first. There isn't much good I have to say about this. I liked Ashley's character. Overall, like I said, guys, this one wasn't really a good book for me. I wish it was because I loved the series at first. I couldn't say enough good things about it. And really the only reason I gave this book a 3 out of 5 is I do love Ashley, and the idea of him being kind and, you know, generous. He completely does not deserve Zara, but whatever, not my book. But yeah, again, just not a very good one for me, and it's really sad because I loved the first 2. Okay, guys, the next book I have to review is Spellbound by Rachel Hawkins. This is the 3rd and final book of the Hex Hall series. As for this cover, I like it, but I'm kind of tired of this type of cover. It's been done for all 3 books, and I kind of was hoping for something a little bit more jazzy, but I still like it. And actually the girl is exactly how I pictured Sophie to be. No idea what the deal with the cat is because there's no cats in the book, but whatever. Okay, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I felt, again, like Sophie, like Zara, didn't really have much to do with the ending or saving everything like she was supposed to. Again, I felt like it was a little too convenient, and at times I felt like I was almost reading the same book. Like, it was kind of funny how a lot of the character traits were very similar in the 2 girls. But I did think that some of the jokes that Sophie said were funny, but others were tacky and kind of unnecessary. But there was one that really did have me kind of cracking up. I was working at a waitress in a cocktail bar when I met you, ... the voice crooned. I frowned. Was that really an appropriate song for the heavenly host to be? So again, some of the quotes were really funny. I think that was one of the ones that really had me laughing because it's just hilarious. But other ones I was like, okay, Sophie, it's overkill. Another thing I really wasn't a fan of was Archer. And I love Archer, but he was such a douche in this book. I don't know. Maybe it was because he didn't really have much of a part in it. He was there, but I really found myself getting drawn into Cal, and I felt like Archer was there sometimes only when it was convenient or when the author needed like more dialogue, but I really felt like he was just kind of a side character, not one of the main ones. One thing that really annoyed me about this book was that Elodie and Sophie's relationship was so convenient, and it drove me nuts. Like, whenever Sophie couldn't do something, there was Elodie right there to help her, and it just drove me nuts. Like, I can't explain why because I don't want to give away spoilers, but I was reading it, I was like, seriously? Like, really? In the contrary, though, the 2 characters that I really found myself loving are Izzy and Finley, on top of Cal and Jenna, but I obviously love them. But they made me think of Brave, the movie, and they're so cute, and I love them so much, and they were so sweet and strong, and a good sidekick to Sophie. Now, a couple good things I liked about that book were the characters, and I also found that there were some really good twists that I was totally not expecting. And another thing that actually is probably kind of weird for a lot of you, I liked that the ending was not everything pulled together and not everything was happy. I actually really liked that, especially since this book was about a battle, and obviously there are going to be some losses, and I felt like it would have been too convenient again for everybody to come out unscathed. And with that being said, I loved the ending. I felt like it was perfect. Made me cry, but it was perfect, and that's the reason I bumped it up to 4 stars. And there was a certain part that just made me cry because it was so fitting to the character that passed. That's all I'm going to say. But it was just so touching, and I really, really, really enjoyed that part of the book, and it really made me smile. Okay guys, and last book I have to review is Slide by Jill Hathaway. This book is about a girl named Sylvia who is also called V, and she can slide into other people's minds by touching something that they might have imprinted on that's kind of important to them or that they've touched. And one night she slides into the body of a killer who has murdered her little sister's best friend, and so now she has to try to solve the murder, and they think it's a suicide, but she wants to try to solve the murder before he or she strikes again. I loved, loved, loved this book. Loved, 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 loved. The plot was so intricate and fast moving, I did not want to put the book down. I finished it in one day. I loved that the author kept me guessing, and the whodunits were outrageous. I usually can predict a book, but there was like 4 or 5 characters that I was like, did they do it? Did they do it? It really did not, like, I didn't even have a clue who's going to do it. And one thing that I loved about this book was V was able to slide into people's minds, but it was only for a little brief period of time. And it was just a little smidgen of a clue. So nothing really got put together until the very end. And then you're like, oh my Lanta. The one thing I didn't really love about this book was the love triangle was a little bit predictable. The best friend is in love with the girl, but the girl is in love with someone else. And I felt that was a little too meh, but the action and the psychological thriller portion of the book like completely made me forget about that aspect. I loved the backstory of V's family and the intricate side plots. That was one of my favorite things. It was definitely not a typical thriller, and it dug deeper into more family issues and not just someone going on a killing spree. So that was my thoughts about this book. 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. It was really good. I highly, highly recommend you guys read this one. I could not put it down. It was so interesting, and I just loved it. And I'm so excited because Imposter, the second book in this series, is coming out in March of 2013, and I'm so excited and I can't wait. Okay guys, that is my wrap up of this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it and it was a little bit more put together than my last video, but I am currently reading Bitter Blue, and it is a beast. So hopefully I will be able to finish it before maybe the end of the week. It's like 563 pages, so I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm super stoked about it. I'm probably not going to have a rewind video if it's just Bitter Blue. I'm probably just going to do a video of Bitter Blue review instead of just a rewind, but you never know how fast I'm going to read. So look forward to that, and I hope you guys had a fantabulous weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one. Bye.